and the reason we're all here this afternoon is to meet Bruce Rioch and Brian Hamilton. Bruce and Brian.
Norwich City's new management team. On the left, Bruce Rioch. As manager, he will be in charge of the first team. Alongside him is Brian Hamilton. His role as director of football will see him look after coaching throughout the club and to build for the future.
We're lucky enough to have got an academy licence, so now we've got to look at the whole club, you know, from 8-year-olds coming right the way through to the first team, and we've got to look at how this football club wants to develop for the future and give it a continuity and a way of how we're going to play football, how we're going to train, and so we need somebody to oversee all that, so that the first team manager can get on with his job.
It's a setup which has been made famous by Dutch champions Ajax and French club Auxerre. We'll be hearing how Hamilton and Rioch hope to make it work and their thoughts on the coming season later. But first, the main purpose of the video, to recap last season, a year which, in fairness, had as many lows as highs, but with the mitigation of truly horrendous injury problems. As early as the first game, the tone was set, Norwich missing captain Matt Jackson for the opening day visit of Wolves. Indeed, Jackson would be out for more than a month, the beginning of a frustrating trend. Commentary from Malcolm Robertson.
Curl forward, good touch from Goodman. Keane gets a chance, and that's a lovely goal for Wolves. Well, it's been coming, and it's young Keane who gets the goal. Robbie Keane, after 34 minutes. It was played beautifully back to Keane, and he fairly walloped his shot past Andy Marshall. No chance at all for Andy Marshall. It's Norwich 0, Wolves 1. Tries to pick out O'Neill. That's a lovely ball from Segura, and O'Neill will go outside Smith, gets in the cross, and that's a header from O'Needy, but it's just past the post. Yes, Roberts applauds, and it was a lovely pass first of all from Segura, in which O'Neill went past Smith very comfortably, got in the cross, but Eadie with the header just across the face of the goal and wide of the post. Sedgley with the free kick, up goes Goodman, can't direct his header, but it falls kindly for Froggatt. Back to Atkins, he's got a bit of a dig as that, oh, and that's a lovely ball to Keane in space, comes inside one defender, oh yes! What a marvellous goal from Robbie Keane, his second of the match, and that's probably won the game for Wolves.
Indeed, Robbie Keane's goals, although very well taken, exposed defensive weaknesses. Mike Walker, though, remained optimistic.
Well, disappointing to lose, obviously, but I'm not unhappy with some of the play. You know, I mean, we had a few little half chances that we didn't get on the end of, not through lack of trying, I might add. And I thought we were quite comfortable with the game. I didn't think there was a problem. Obviously, goals change games, and they got the first one, which was we didn't perhaps close down quick enough, and the fellas struck it well from their point of view. It was an excellent goal. So yeah, overall I saw some good things on there, and I'm not particularly unhappy except for the result.
So the second match against Barnet in the Coca-Cola Cup surely offered Norwich a chance to achieve their first win of the season, and it started well. Just 13 minutes on the clock, and Ewan Roberts scored his first goal for the Canaries since his £900,000 move in the summer. But indecisive defending cost Norwich their lead. This went down as an own goal for John Polston. Neil Adams restored Norwich pride with a great strike to make the final score 2-1 and to give them a much-needed boost ahead of the next league game at Nottingham Forest. An expectation was high at the City Ground. Two sides many thought were likely to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. A big crowd that included England coach Glenn Hoddle, with the World Cup in mind, no doubt casting his eye over one or two players.
It's a good patient build-up from Norwich, a good start.
And that's a great ball. Adams on the surge, just behind Eadie, Little, cleared, O'Neill, in off the post, Norwich lead 1-0, and Forest were at 6s and 7s, and O'Neill says thank you with 7 minutes gone.
Well, it was a beautiful finish, wasn't it? Very, very, almost casual. Quality finish from Keith O'Neill, but Adams, with a positive run down the right, whips the ball into the box. There's confusion here. The keeper just gets a foot in it, but watch this for casual. Lovely finish, left foot, in off the post from Keith O'Neill. Beautiful finish, no panic, just places it. Great start for Norwich. And this is a quality goal. Pascoli, no chance.
Van Hooijdonk! Brilliant save from Marshall. Stone set it up for him, but Marshall denies Van Hooijdonk.
Well, I don't think Van Hooijdonk catches this the way he would like to. I think he went for power and pace here. But Marshall's on his back. It's a good flick on from Stone. Watch this. He just doesn't hit it right, but almost loops over Andy Marshall. It's a good stop. Good header from Stone. Right foot volley from Van Hooijdonk, and that was going in. It's a good save.
Here's Campbell. Thomas has made a great burst into the box, but it's Bonalaire! Marshall save, Van Hooijdonk going for the follow-up, and he's gone there! Forest have equalised, and Van Hooijdonk gets his first league goal of the season.
Well, intense pressure from Nottingham Forest, and it's, you know, the warning signs were there for Norwich City. Good build-up. Campbell does well here. He doesn't panic. He just lays it inside to Bonalaire, it's a rasping shot, and Van Hooijdonk quickly to pounce. The question here is Norwich centre-halves. They did not react. The Dutchman, Van Hooijdonk, he's on it in a flash, and he doesn't miss from there. Marshall's a little bit unlucky. A good stinging shot there from Bonalaire. Marshall palms it in there. Now he needs help from his defenders, but Van Hooijdonk's in there first.
Here's Hjelde. Stone. Van Hooijdonk. Thomas has started to make some useful breaks from the midfield, but it's Bonalaire who's through, and there's Thomas, and that's 2-1 Forest.
Superb composure there. Thomas had the simple task. There's no doubt about it. Bonalaire, great composure. It's a lovely ball. Van Hooijdonk comes inside Newman, and suddenly the ball breaks to this little fella. Watch this for awareness and composure. Superb. And it's only what Forest deserve. They've been putting intense pressure on Norwich, but Bonalaire, coolness, clever head, and Thomas says thank you very much.
It's Forest on the attack once more with Campbell! Oh, that's a screamer from Kevin Campbell! 2 league appearances this season, 2 goals, and Forest lead 3-1.
Yeah, that's curtains for Norwich now. But they were so slow getting out of defence. Great ball in. Campbell, look at the time he's got. But that's a superb strike. Marshall, no chance at all. But Norwich were too slow coming out. How many seconds he got before a yellow shirt comes across? But that's a lovely strike to the far corner, and Marshall can only watch it helplessly hit the back of the net. Just bounces up lovely for Kevin Campbell, takes a touch, whack, 3-1.
And now that they're rattling in the goals, you wonder just how mercilessly Norwich might be exposed. It's Thomas this time! What an incredible goal! Cleanly executed. Norwich just stood and watched as it seared through, and it's 4-1.
Yeah, it's a rampant Notts Forest now, and once again it's a tremendous strike, but again look at the time Jeff Thomas has here. Just picks his spot, sheer pace and power, beats Andy Marshall. But the Norwich defenders, surely someone's got to be coming out and closing. Great strike.
Yes, a brilliant strike maybe, but the nature of the 4-1 defeat left Mike Walker with much to think about ahead of the home match with newly promoted Crewe. Which again turned out to be another defensive nightmare for City. Andy Marshall left terribly exposed as Crewe took the lead through a goal in the first half from Mark Rivers. And it didn't get much better in the second half. This time Peter Smith's free kick somehow found its way past Marshall at the foot of the post. A nightmare for the England under-21 goalkeeper in an important season for him, as he is preferred to Brian Gunn from the start. 1 or 2 shaky moments can't have helped his confidence, just failing this time to stop the ball creeping over the line. It was after this match that Mike Walker decided he needed to strengthen his squad, turning to experienced midfielder Peter Grant, signing him for £150,000 from Celtic. Always a popular figure north of the border, his determination and passion for the game was rewarded by a testimonial match attended by 44,000 people at Celtic Park. Well, it was a less salubrious setting for his first match for City, Barnet's Underhill Stadium, and the second leg of their first round match of the Coca-Cola Cup. Leading 2-1 from the first leg, Ewan Roberts seemed to have sealed it for Norwich as he put them further ahead in the second half. But Barnet staged an amazing comeback, scoring 3 times and dumping Norwich out of the competition at the first stage. The first of Barnet's goals was scored by Greg Heald after 68 minutes. And then it was all about Barnet's Sean Devine. He scored 2 goals, the first in the 69th minute. A strong run, finished with a well-placed shot. That levelled the scores on aggregate, and his second goal, well, it was another disaster for the Norwich City defence. So, out of the Coca-Cola Cup then, and it was back to the league and the next match at Sunderland. Not the best place to visit when you're not in the best of form. Commentary is from Roger Thames.
Clark. He's got Michael Gray coming up for extra support. He finds him cleverly. This is a promising position, and ball! And Quinn! And that's an excellent save there from Andy Marshall. Holston putting it out wide to Daryl Such. Edie popping up on the other side, and it's Such who's carried on his run. That's a fine goal. Daryl Such gives Norwich the lead.
Yes, celebrations for the travelling Norwich support as a brilliant winning goal from Daryl Such gave Norwich their first league win of the season. But ahead of the next match against Portsmouth, the mood was rather sombre and flags at half-mast as fans paid their respects following the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. The match was something of a disappointment after the result at Sunderland. Andy Turner gave Portsmouth the lead midway through the second half. Norwich were struggling to get back into the game until the very last minute, when a typical turn of pace from Darren Eadie forced the Portsmouth goalkeeper to concede a penalty. Neil Adams hasn't missed a penalty in his professional career and made no mistake to earn a point. The injury problems that would ruin City's season did provide Mike Walker a chance to blood young players. Here, 18-year-old Adrian Coote made his debut. But it was a fellow youngster, Adrian Forbes, who set up the winning goal for Robert Fleck. It was quick thinking from the free kick, and Fleck provided the finish. Great stuff from the Scotsman, but it was to be among the last goals he scored for Norwich. He's been a hero in his 2 spells at the club. His hard work and spectacular goals meant that he enjoyed adulation from the fans. But now it was time for the youngsters to take centre stage. Adrian Forbes, a lightning-quick player, showing what he's made of, creating this chance with a fantastic run through the middle, although off-target with the finish. So, with 7 points from 3 games, Norwich should have fancied their chances against Charlton at home. Commentary here from Tony Jones.
Robinson. Ricochet off Brown. And out finally by Coote. Norwich with everyone in their own penalty area. Charlton have pushed Chappell and Barmer up from the back. Ricochet and in eventually by Clive Mendonca. Clive Mendonca, who scored 20 goals for Grimsby last season, has now got his 3rd for Charlton Athletic. First header was by Mortimer, the drive by Barmer, and Mendonca with a shot which finally beat Andy Marshall. Keith Jones, Steve Jones ahead of him, as is Mendonca. Mortimer is past Jackson. Inviting cross, and a second goal for Clive Mendonca. Polston caught almost on his own goal line. Mortimer did well to hold off Matt Jackson, and once he got past him, the cross had pace and precision. Polston was in a tangle, Mendonca wasn't, and that's 2-0 Charlton. Here's Steve Jones, being set clear by Mendonca, and Mendonca has got his hat-trick. A hat-trick inside 28 minutes by Clive Mendonca. Charlton paid £750,000 for Mendonca when they signed him from Grimsby. Steve Jones fluffed his chance, but Mendonca didn't. Andy Durso, the referee, involved in a game here at Carrow Road last season when 3 players were sent off. Comfortable catch for Pedersen. Newman puts the ball in the net, and Norwich are furious about that decision. Newman didn't have his foot up, he turned his back on the goal and the goalkeeper. It was Pedersen's clearance which hit him, but Andy Durso, the referee, claimed that there was interference. Where was the interference? Chappell, former Norwich player, he'd dearly love to get one here. And he has done! Phil Chappell, the Charlton skipper, who never played a first-team game for Norwich City, has finally scored at Carrow Road.
Arguably, tonight is probably the best we've played. You know, there'll be fans who say, oh, it was rubbish, but it wasn't rubbish. I mean, they actually played very well tonight, and in fact, for the first quarter of an hour, 20, even when we went 1 down, you know, I thought we've probably had, what, I don't know, 15, 16 corners tonight? We've had all the corners, haven't scored, we've had 2 goals disallowed. But you cannot, and I've said before, you cannot just keep giving goals away. And really, you know, obviously Charlton will be well pleased, but at the end of the day, they just, you know, we just gave them the goals, and they didn't have to work that hard for them.
So, a major setback then for Norwich, and not the best preparation for a match at Manchester City, where they hadn't won for 33 years. And the job was made even harder when Lee Bradbury gave Manchester City a first-half lead. But determined to erase the memories of the Charlton match, Norwich fought back in style. Craig Bellamy in particular carving out a superb goal for Neil Adams. And in the second half, Norwich pulled off a remarkable win. Again, it was the youngsters to thank. Adrian Coote's persistence forcing Manchester City keeper Martin Margetson into a quick clearance. Craig Bellamy again with the outstanding work in midfield, providing Coote with his first senior goal. A fantastic moment for Coote, but just look at the work from Bellamy, making it easy for his teammate. So the youngsters performing well then, but with the season's first East Anglian derby imminent, a little more experience throughout the side would have been a bonus. But many of the senior players continued to struggle with niggling injuries, most notably Ewan Roberts, Keith O'Neill and Victor Segura, leaving Mike Walker little choice but to persist with youth for the big match. There was, though, one good piece of news: Darren Eadie's recovery from a calf injury sustained at Portsmouth. Before a capacity crowd at Carrow Road, he was to make a massive impact. Commentary here comes from Alan Brazil and Rob Hawthorne.
Williams, and now Scowcroft has made the run along the line. Fleming holding him up, but he's found Bobby Petter. Steams in the box, so too Stockwell and Holland, and he went for goal, and Marshall turns it behind.
Yeah, good start for the match for Bobby Petter. He had options in the box, Steen was in the box, Stockwell's in the box, good build-up from Scowcroft. He has a look, to be fair to him, Petter, and thinks, right, let's fire one in near post. Good stop from Marshall.
Mike Walker, in his 2 spells in charge, has seen plenty of these occasions. Both managers, in fact, have lost more than they've won. But here, Darren Eadie's away, and he's round the goalkeeper, and Eadie has scored for Norwich. What a return for him! 3 games out, and he's back with a goal in the 9th minute.
Yeah, we said about the pace, the threat this fella's got, and he's fired up. Look at him there, looking at Ipswich fans. You have to say this is a mistake by Cundy. It's a long ball. Cundy, was he tripped there? Tries to get in front of Edie. Edie's away. Wright makes the commitment, but he tucks it in. Acute angle. Great finish from Darren Edie. Cundy gets the wrong side. He's not going to catch Edie now. It's a question of, can Richard Wright get to the ball? The answer is no. But look at this angle. Edie has a look, and he slots it right-footed beautifully. Well, what a start for Darren Edie. There's talk of him not playing. That's forgotten now.
Good hands by Marshall.
He's impressed me tonight, Andy Marshall. If you asked me before the game who's the best, I'd have said Wright, but Marshall has been superb.
Marshall, who finally seems to have shaken off the threat of competition from the regular custodian in so many of these fixtures, Brian Gunn. Now another foul on Edie by Cundy, who's already been booked for his last one.
Edie is just terrifying the life out of the centre-halves.
And he could cause more torment here from the free kick. Oh, it's gone in off Jason Cundy. It was headed against him. He couldn't get out of the way. It's an own goal, and Norwich are 2 up.
Well, that just sums up the centre-halves now. Mowbray stoops low from this free kick. He heads it against Cundy, and the ball beats Richard Wright. It's been a very unhappy night for Mowbray and Cundy, and now that could be the crucial goal. Off the head, off the legs of Tony Mowbray, and Richard Wright, great reflexes as he's got, can't do anything about this one. And that's a cruel blow for Ipswich Town, and the Canaries are flying high.
Well, there are 2,000 fans from Suffolk here, and they're doing their level best despite being vastly outnumbered to bring about some sort of response. Kerslake taking on Such. Stockwell away from Forbes. This is Maffey. And Scott giving him no room, but Kerslake's got his cross in, and there's the goal that Steen wanted and that Ipswich wanted to give themselves a foothold in this game.
That's the one they needed. And they'll be going berserk in the pubs in Suffolk. What a good goal, Maffey, tremendous. Kerslake on the overlap, perfect ball. Steen 2-1. What a great little build-up. Maffey, very influential. Kerslake the sub with a quality cross. Matt Steen on loan from Chelsea into the empty net. Plants his header past Marshall. What a game we have now.
Ipswich really fancy their chances now of getting this equaliser, and who knows, there'd still be time enough to go on and win it. Mowbray's made his move now, and he's got there!
Very, very unlucky. Gets inside Kevin Scott. Again, it was a nice height for Marshall. And Mowbray grimaces. That could have been the equaliser. Good run, good delivery. Scott's nowhere. And just a nice height for Andy Marshall to tip over. Tries to get it to the far post, but Marshall, a lovely little flick over the crossbar.
Edie. And this time it is all over, and Norwich have won the 63rd East Anglian derby, and Darren Edie was the man who started it all off for them with a goal in the 9th minute. But the man who decided it with the winning goal in his first ever derby match, Jason Cundy, the problem for him was that it was in his own net. Ball headed against him by Tony Mowbray in the second half. And despite Mark Steen's goal late on, it's the Norwich fans who are celebrating their 5th successive derby victory here at Carrow Road.
Oh, I'm delighted, obviously. You know, win a local derby is superb. Please the fans, obviously, keep a few of the Ipswich supporters off their backs, and they can give them a bit of stick instead of the other way round. But even more important than that, for me anyway, was the 3 points, because that's now put us up, what, even for only for tonight maybe, but put us 3 points off the top, and that's it. That was really important for the win tonight.
And Darren Edie's return had a huge impact.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a quality finish by a quality player. You know, that's why I had to put him back in, really. The young boys had done really well, but I mean, you know, you've got to play Darren. And we'd said about turning them and getting the ball up, and we didn't really. And then we did the first good ball over the top. He's skinned a lot of them, but it's a great finish. I mean, I didn't see it till later on the television, and it's a hell of a tight angle with his standing foot, and he stuck it in the net. So got us off on the right foot.
Possibly, you know, all of us haven't, you know, done as well as we would like to have done at the start of the season. So to get a result that, you know, like that tonight, especially against the Old Firm, then, you know, it's pretty good.
It's always good to beat Ipswich for a Norwich player, but more importantly, it does help your league position, doesn't it?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, I think we're only 3 points off the top now, and considering we had a pretty bad start, we're over the moon with that.
And the prospect from here on in?
We just got to keep our heads up and keep plugging away. I mean, we've done well enough tonight, and hope we'll be able to, you know, carry it on to the next games.
And you'll enjoy the champagne?
I certainly will.
Well, the champagne sadly quickly went flat as they went to Tranmere. No repeat of last season's fog-band farce, but the outcome was still the same, defeat for Norwich. David Kelly got the ball rolling in the first half, supplying a tremendous finish to put Tranmere 1-0 ahead. But any hopes of a comeback were dashed as Norwich had 2 men sent off. First, Rob Newman was dismissed for a professional foul as he pulled Kelly down as he ran towards goal. Then in the second half, Mike Milligan was sent off for a reckless challenge. There were plenty of protests, but the referee really had no option but to send him off. And with 9 men, Norwich had no chance of fighting back. In fact, Tranmere took full advantage of the situation to make it 2-0 through Lee Jones. But at a time when Norwich was struggling, Darren Eadie continued to feature for the England under-21 side and was very much part of Glenn Hoddle's plans for the World Cup. Mike Walker was clearly delighted then when Eadie agreed to an extension to his contract.
These 2 lads have agreed to sign the block and
On the same day, wingback Daryl Such, about to embark on his 10th year at Norwich, also signed an extension to his contract. The following week saw Gary Megson return to Carrow Road as manager of Stockport. Commentary here from Tony Jones.
Armstrong. Cooper is through with Fleming. Chance for Angel. And one which has accepted. Adams for Norwich. Eadie has made a run for him, so to his flag. His flag, and now Grant! Another fine stop by Nixon. Every time Norwich threaten, every time they get a shot in on goal, Eric Nixon is there to deny them. Fleck did well to hold the ball up then, and as Grant came charging in, he kept the shot down, but he couldn't beat Nixon. But Darren Eadie has another wonderful strike from Darren Eadie. Nixon beaten at last. Another splendid run by Darren Eadie. Great acceleration and a super shot that was off the outside of the left foot. And it just had enough curl to deceive Eric Nixon.
Yes, a great goal from Eadie, but it all turned sour for him on the stroke of full time. Up for a challenge with Stockport's Damon Searle, he sustained a neck injury. At first it didn't seem too serious. In fact, it was a fairly innocuous challenge, but it was to keep him out of action for some time.
It seems to have been that way all season for us, where players get back from injury and then pick something else. I think Craig Fleming's picked up another knock today. So it's frustrating. It must be frustrating for the management as well, because they're having to put different sides out. And history says that successful teams have the least players, really, and that's unfortunately what's not going for us at the moment.
Reading were the next visitors to Carrow Road. It was a frustrating night for Norwich, unable to break down a side who had clearly come to defend. They forced few chances, and this was the best of them, missed by Craig Bellamy. They would hope for better in the next match away at Swindon.
Marshall makes his clearance with time to spare. And here goes Forbes. He's looked a threat so far for Norwich. Again, he runs at the defence. Great shot. Unlucky Adrian Forbes. That's just about the closest Norwich have come. It was a super little run. A great strike at the end of it, and that's just inches wide. Allison shielding it well. That's Chris Hay. They have to go alone. That's not a bad effort. That is a quite magnificent goal by Chris Hay. It's his 11th of the season, and there hasn't been a better one. Absolutely brilliant. And no wonder the fans and the players celebrate.
Newcomers Bury were next at Carrow Road.
Cut out by Gray. Johnson was in an offside position then. Kevin Scott, who together with Matt Jackson has given the Norwich defence some much needed authority. Here's Forbes for Norwich. Now he's released Bellamy. Coote is waiting in the middle. It's Bellamy, and it's 1-0. Craig Bellamy, a real talent at 18, scores his first senior goal to put Norwich City in front after just 2.5 minutes. It was the pace of the other youngster, Adrian Forbes, which got the move going. Bellamy took it on. Coote was an option in the middle, but there was only one object in his mind then, Bellamy, and Norwich City ahead. Bellamy now for Norwich. Not a bad cross. Here's Adams. That's number 2. Neil Adams with his 4th goal of the season puts Norwich City 2 up after more intelligent play by Craig Bellamy. Bellamy again had the confidence to go on to get in his cross ahead of Peake. An equally good play by Adrian Coote, who set up Adams then. 6 forward now with this Norwich attack, and Jackson prepared to be patient. Norwich prepared to wait for the right opening, an opening which then didn't come for them. Marshall has dropped the ball, and a simple goal for Tony Battersby. Bury got a goal from absolutely nothing. If there was a threat then, it seemed to be as the ball came through. Marshall had the ball in his hands, or appeared to, dropped it, and Battersby couldn't believe his luck. 3rd minute of stoppage time now. Woodward with the free kick. Norwich defending close to their own goal line. John Rose, who's grabbed the equaliser. 2.5 minutes into stoppage time, and Bury have got an equaliser through Lenny John Rose. It's his first goal of the season, and what a time to score it. Bury with everybody bar the goalkeeper forward, and John Rose caught it perfectly.
I think we're going about it the right way. I think the supporters will agree that come to Carrow Road and watch the games, and indeed the supporters that go away, especially recently of the last 3 or 4 games, we're playing the right way. We're doing enough to more than win games, but it's just eluding us at the moment. So hopefully, we can get it on the right track sooner rather than later.
We've got to dig in, and we've just said to the players, we've not got to get heads down. We've got to keep playing, and things will come right. We've got enough problems with all the players out, but the lads have done well. We've played these teams with maybe 6 or 7 players out, and we're holding our own. It's just, we need to be more. Perhaps we are a bit too young. I don't know, 1 or 2 younger ones, but we just need to keep working at it, and I'm sure it will turn around.
The last-minute equaliser was disappointing then, and a trip to the Hawthorns did nothing to improve the mood. Only some excellent goalkeeping from Andy Marshall kept Norwich City in it. But West Brom eventually won the game with 5 minutes left. The Norwich defence caught square by a through pass from Andy Hunt, and the goal was scored by Lee Hughes. And so followed another match in the Midlands, this time against Birmingham. Confidence was low, but the stage was again set for a youngster, Adrian Forbes. His pace and ability to run at defenders had already become a feature of the season, but he was still to score a goal. Well, he soon put that right. First of all, thanks to some good work from Ewan Roberts. Then an excellent finish. The travelling support enjoying the moment. But Birmingham equalised from the penalty spot. A tremendous run from John McCarthy started the move. Then he supplied Paul Devlin, whose quick feet were just too much for Victor Segura. Devlin himself got up to take the kick and confidently hammered the ball home. But this was Adrian Forbes' day, and he scored the winner. This time it was thanks to some good work from Ewan Roberts and Robert Fleck. It was a terrific finish again from Forbes, and it was a great day for the young winger.
My hope's just to stay in the team really, and hope keep performing as consistently as I am and stay in there really. Give the gaffer something to think about, and the likes of Mr. Keith O'Neill come back.
People obviously compare you to Raw Fox and things like that. I'm sure that's already been a compliment has been paid to you. What do you say to that?
Well, I am similar to Raw Fox in some ways, but really, hopefully, if I do half as well as he's done, I'll be happy with that.
In fact, Mike called him Foxy today. He couldn't help it. But yeah, they are similar in some ways, but I think it's always a bit of a problem if you label them the second Foxy or the second Shearer or the second whoever. He's Adrian Forbes, and he's making his way in football, and he's doing okay.
So spirits were high for the visit of Middlesbrough to Carrow Road. A big crowd looking forward to enjoying the talents of stars like Brazilian Emerson and Dane Mikael Beck. But more than that, for a Norwich win. Their last home victory had been the East Anglian derby nearly 2 months previously. Ewan Roberts, for all his hard work, was still looking for his first league goal for Norwich, and Middlesbrough were able to boast England star Paul Merson in the starting lineup.
Here's Adams. Now Segura. Middlesbrough closing down the space, closing down the options, but they haven't picked up Ewan Roberts, who scored his first league goal for Norwich City. Roberts back with a real bang. The delight obvious. Ewan Roberts has been missing for 8 weeks with a toe injury, taking full advantage of a good cross then from Danny Mills. Powerful downward header, and Schwarzer had no chance. Merson again, straight at Scott. Here's Mills. Emerson got there first. Hignett. And a terrific save by Andy Marshall. On by Pearson. Merson out wide. Here's Ormrod. And Beck. Off both posts and eventually in. Mikael Beck. Set up then by young Ormrod. Andy Marshall beaten. And Middlesbrough still can't quite believe it. Both posts. And it was the second bounce which beat Marshall. Beck. Hignett. Merson. Chance for Paul Merson. And a goal for Paul Merson. Paul Merson's 8th goal of the season. He's level at the top of the Middlesbrough scoring charts with Mikael Beck, and he's put Middlesbrough in front. Hignett created it, inviting pass, and Merson, who was able to get in ahead of Segura and to find the bottom corner. Here's Fleck for Norwich. Milligan is arriving, Roberts is in there too. Some very good work by Nigel Pearson. Beck has been able to take advantage of the mistake by Scott. Ormrod is forward, and that's number 3. Norwich caught on the break again, and it's Anthony Ormrod.
That's probably as well as we play, and against a team, you know, that are probably favourites, or one of the favourites certainly, to go up. You know, and plus the fact, obviously, they've got Merson back, which is a minor miracle to be able to abscond someone from the England team, but he was probably the difference at the end of it as well.
We play good football, and at times we knock it long when we have to, but we're solid all over the park. But it's all about consistency. You know, we usually shoot ourselves in the foot after a couple of results, so the next 3 games are very important now.
Well, you're nice to get a goal. First league goal for Norwich as well, but shame you couldn't match it with 3 points.
That's right. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and you know, I was ever so pleased to see it hit the back of the net. It took a lot of weight off my shoulders, but at the end of the day, we've lost 3-1, and you know, after the first half performance, I thought we dominated the game. To be fair, they didn't deserve to get a goal back, and to go in at 1-1, we were disappointed. But we didn't concentrate for the full 90 minutes, and they've got back in the game. And you know, you can't give good players, and they have got good players in their team, you can't give them time and space on the ball, because they will punish you.
Next up, another home match against Oxford.
And here's Forbes. And he's released Fleck. Here's Fleck. And Fleck scores in the 31st minute. A beautiful pass from Adrian Forbes, releasing Robert Fleck. And there they are, Ewan Roberts and Forbes and Fleck celebrating in the Oxford goal. Brian Coddington saying, come on, let's get on with it. Really a beautifully placed shot. Not a great deal of power, but it's the placement in this case that counts. Robert Fleck, and he's released Craig Bellamy. And Bellamy scores a superb little chip over the advancing Oxford United keeper. And he runs towards the corner flag, congratulated by Ewan Roberts, Adrian Forbes, and Mr. Brian Coddington again saying, come on, let's get on with it. And Bellamy making the perfect run forward, chips over the goalkeeper, advancing keeper, and it ends up in the back of the net. That makes it 2-0. Archangel has got the return, the cross comes in, oh, and it's cleared off the line, and it's gone in.
So a win set City up nicely for a trip to Bradford, but their alarming inconsistency continued. Rob Steiner gave Bradford the lead in the first half, taking advantage of some weak defending. Steiner made it 2 in the second half. Again, he broke clear of the Norwich defence and finished comfortably. Craig Bellamy gave Norwich some hope with 15 minutes left, but they were unable to force an equaliser. So then a trip to Loftus Road and a match against Queen's Park Rangers, themselves having 1 or 2 difficulties, and Norwich actually took the lead. It came from a fine ball from Robert Fleck. He released Adrian Forbes, who again came up with a confident finish. The lead wasn't to last too long though. Gavin Peacock came up with a flying header to finish an excellent Rangers move. It made the final score 1-1. and it was back home next for a tricky match against Sheffield United.
Marker. Now Ford. All a bit casual, this from Sheffield United. So too was that pass by Fugelstad. Dean, onside. Jackson with a challenge, but it came too late. Marshall beaten. He took the sting out of the shot, but he couldn't stop Brian Dean scoring his 10th goal of the season for Sheffield United. Here's Roberts. Does so well to hold the ball up and to release other players. Fugelstad. Segura has made a run for him. So too is Bellamy. Deflected and in. It's Bellamy's 4th goal of the season, but it took a wicked deflection past Simon Tracy. Fugelstad, who'd seen the run by Bellamy, and it took a deflection off Bonk. That's what beat Tracy. Mills, now Roberts. Good ball to release Forbes. Fugelstad! He's got it! Eric Fugelstad with his first goal for Norwich City. Come on!
Another boost for Norwich, but when would they start to put a run of results together? Well, they managed a second successive win at Huddersfield, inspired again by the young players. Adrian Forbes scored the first goal, a great run and a brilliant finish. But he was upstaged by Craig Bellamy's terrific effort, which made it 2-0. After being released by Ewan Roberts, he showed great pace and balance to run half the length of the field before supplying a composed finish. Huddersfield pulled a goal back in the second half, some neat enterprising play there from the home side, and they forced a superb save from Andy Marshall. But Marcus Stewart was there to crash home the rebound, giving the Canaries a few jitters with half an hour still to play. But they held on to the lead, and in the very last minute, more good work from Craig Bellamy left an easy chance for Peter Grant to score his first goal for Norwich and make the final score 3-1. The next match was at home to Stoke in hopes of a third consecutive win. But all they managed was a 0-0 draw. The closest Norwich came to scoring was in the first half, when Eric Fugelstad's shot flew over the crossbar. Stoke had chances of their own, and only some excellent goalkeeping from Andy Marshall kept the score goalless. So 7 points in 3 games, Norwich hoping to avoid their traditional Christmas slump. The club received a welcome boost. Directors Delia Smith and her husband Michael Wynne-Jones bought Geoffrey Watling's 42% stake in the club to become majority shareholders. Opinion in the club's shop in the Norwich Castle Mall was that she should become chairman.
Her and her husband have already helped us out of a dire situation, sort of thing, and hopefully the club can sort of carry on progressing as well as they have been in recent weeks.
Not too many women chairman. Would you like to see her take over?
Yeah, why not?
Oh yes, certainly. More girl power at the football club.
Yeah, I think she's got the interest of the club at heart, more perhaps than other people have done in the past. Yeah.
City director Roger Mumby is supportive of the idea.
Women chair people, you know, would be welcomed in football. I think Karen Brady has brought a lovely influence to Birmingham City, and it would be an interesting and progressive step.
But it's not going to happen just yet?
No, by no means.
Boxing Day at Charlton, an opportunity to rid themselves of the memories of the 4-0 defeat at Carrow Road earlier in the season. It was goalless at half-time, but a brilliant goal from Mark Kinsella put Charlton ahead. Well, there was nothing Norwich could have done about that one, but the second goal was a defensive nightmare. There was some good play here from Steve Robinson, but a mistake from Kevin Scott on the edge of the penalty area allowed him to continue and score. Norwich did pull a goal back, and it was a penalty given for a push on Keith O'Neill. O'Neill was making his second successive appearance as a substitute. His return to fitness a welcome boost. Craig Bellamy made no mistake with the penalty, continuing to show confidence beyond his years. But Norwich were unable to force an equaliser, so it's back to the drawing board again for the visit of Portsmouth to Carrow Road.
14 minutes gone, Norwich with their first corner. Scott and Jackson have both been pushed forward from defence. Swung in by Forbes, and there's Matt Jackson with a goal. Matt Jackson, with his first goal of the season, has put Norwich City ahead after 15 minutes. And ironically, one of Jackson's few goals last season was scored against Portsmouth in the corresponding fixture, and Jackson's got another one. The Norwich skipper didn't have to get very high. Poor defensive cover, but in a body of blue shirts, Jackson was there first, and Norwich City ahead. Here's Fugelstad for Norwich. Bellamy and O'Neill are both ahead of me. It's a tremendous run by Craig Bellamy, who was held back then by Robbie Pethick. Wasn't a direct run on goal, but what will Kevin Lynch do here? It was a good run by Bellamy. Both players were locking arms, and in the end it was Pethick's outstretched left arm which stopped Bellamy in his tracks. 6 in the Portsmouth wall. It's Bellamy, and it's another terrific goal. What a wonderful goal by Craig Bellamy. It's Bellamy's 6th goal of the season, and what a season it's proving for Craig Bellamy. Grant was pointing the way, and Bellamy applied the finish. The free kick hit to perfection, and Norwich 2 goals up.
The first match of the new year was in the FA Cup and away at 2nd Division Grimsby. Having ended 97 so well, hopes were high of reaching the next round of the competition, but Grimsby took the lead through John McDermott. It could have got worse during the first half as Grimsby were awarded a penalty. It seemed a harsh decision, Mike Milligan off balance as he made contact. But justice was done as Andy Marshall made a terrific save from the penalty from Kevin Donovan, although Marshall hurt his thigh in the process, which hampered his movement for the rest of the match. Grimsby went 2 up just after half-time, City's defence at 6s and 7s as Neil Wood's effort looped over the goal line. And Kevin Donovan made up for his earlier penalty miss with the 3rd goal with 15 minutes left, as Marshall was clearly struggling with his injury. On the bright side, 18-year-old Chris Llewellyn made his debut and had the ball in the net, only for it to be ruled out for offside. So back to the league and Wolves, Brian Gunn playing his first match of the season.
Foul by Fugelstad. Eric Fugelstad, who's been utilised as a left back this afternoon to enable Keith O'Neill to get forward in a more familiar role for him as an outside left. Free kick and a goal. It's Robbie Keane yet again. Osborne with the free kick, and Keane, just as he did at Carrow Road on the opening day of the season, has scored for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now Ferguson. Still with Ferguson and Atkins. Stopped by Gunn, but put away by Goodman. Don Goodman makes it 2-0 to Wolves. Forward by Froggatt. Good work by Friedman, he's got a clear run on goal, and that's the third goal for Wolves. Magnificently taken by Dougie Friedman. Here's O'Neill. Now Bellamy. Sterling work by Muscat. Goodman full of running. Goodman free again. Another chance for Wolves, and another goal for Wolves. It's Friedman again. Robinson. Daly has made the run for him. Patalainen in the middle. That's a good cross in. And it's Jackson who gets there ahead of Gunn. The Norwich skipper taking no chances. But it was a fine run by Tony Daly, who's making his first appearance after 23 months out. Had the pace to get beyond Fugelstad and to deliver a good cross. Friedman waiting in the middle. Jackson there ahead of him. And Friedman's got his hat-trick.
The first 45 minutes was, from our point of view, was an embarrassment. Certainly from my point of view anyway. And if nobody else at our club felt embarrassed, then it's a bad do, because we certainly were on the coaching staff. I'd take nothing away from Wolves. They were the better side, and they were sharper, and they were 2 or 3 yards sharper than us. But the goals we gave away just gave us a mountain to climb.
Things had to improve for the visit of league leaders Nottingham Forest. Darren Eadie returned to the starting lineup, having recovered from the neck injury sustained against Stockport, and Brian Gunn was hoping to restore his pride after the 5-0 drubbing by Wolves.
Forest with Chettle and Cooper forward. Here's Gemmell. Overhit this time. Van Hooijdonk did well to keep it down. Gunn did well to stretch across and turn the ball away. Cooper with the free kick for Forest. Van Hooijdonk the target. That was a good positive header by Pierre Van Hooijdonk. Here's Campbell. And another great stop by Brian Gunn. He needed some assistance this time from his skipper. Gunn questioning why Campbell was allowed to get the shot in. Fleming was backing off, and it was Jackson who got there ahead of Bonalaire. Norwich have the free kick, taken quickly by Jackson. Rodgers with a clearance. Eadie trying to get in behind Rodgers. Here's Forbes. Came off Roberts, and in off Roberts. Ewan Roberts, with his first goal in 9 games, has put Norwich City ahead right at the start of the second half. Eadie's influence obvious. He was the one who released Forbes, and Roberts just got a toe on the ball. Van Hooijdonk, and another terrific stop by Brian Gunn. Wonderful save by the Norwich goalkeeper. It took a wicked deflection off the wall. It was Roberts who was turning his back on the ball who gave it some spin, and Gunn, who's smiling now, had to make a spectacular stop to turn the ball over the top. On by Jackson. Here's Eadie. Now O'Neill. Plenty of options in the middle. Coots is one of them. And it's come away off the post.
That's my sort of 500th League and Cup career total now. I played 25 games for Aberdeen, 475 for Norwich, and obviously I wanted to play well today, especially after last week. My little lad Angus was in the stand watching me for the first time. It's a good occasion for me, but I've got, I can't speak enough about the teamwork. As I said, we worked hard in training. We all have, right through the goalkeeping, the defenders, and then it showed on the pitch today.
We made sure they've worked damn hard through the week, and they've gone out and produced it. And we may have had a bit of that, but I think we earned that. And so, you know, but it's one game, you know. That's why I don't get carried away. We lost a couple, so what? You know, it wasn't very good, but we worked damn hard to put it right, and we put it right today. But it means nothing. It's one game. We need to win the next 4 or 5, then maybe I'll be a bit happy about it.
And 4 days later, it was another big game.
Fugelstad happy to play his way out of trouble and to find Roberts. Lazy pass by Ewan Roberts. Fleming with a header clear. Now it's Grant for Norwich. Coote is in on this, but Perez had got there first. Eadie! He's got it! A magnificent goal by Darren Eadie. Darren Eadie playing only his second game after 3 months out injured, with a presence of mind then to weigh up all the options. It was a good break by Norwich. Perez was out swiftly, but his clearance let him down. And Eadie, with barely a look up, played the ball back in, and he played it back to perfection. Instinctive goal from Darren Eadie, and it's brought Carrow Road to its feet. Fugelstad, now Coote. Here's Segura. Now Eadie. Fugelstad is in here. And that's the second goal for Norwich City. Eric Fugelstad. Tremendous approach play by Norwich. It's Fugelstad's second goal for the club. It came with the help of a deflection, but then the Sunderland defence were really opened up. Eadie and Coote involved. And as Fugelstad crossed, it went in off Craddock's knee. Defender was unlucky, but it was a tremendous build-up by Norwich. 4 players involved. And Fugelstad with the presence of mind to get the ball over Perez at the advantage of the knock-on by Craddock. Jackson now. Inviting pass for Peter Grant and an equally inviting pass for Darren Eadie. Fugelstad in the middle. Coote also arriving, as is Roberts. Here's Coote! And back up the post! Still with Coote. And still have Norwich been able to get the ball in the net. Sunderland have survived somehow. Ray trying to get more inspiration. Here's Clark. It's a good try, and it's a goal. Terrific try from Lee Clark, the Sunderland skipper. Brian Gunn will be disappointed because he was going in the right direction. He seemed to be behind the ball, but the venom in the shot beat him. Came to the goalkeeper through a ruck of players. The keeper will think he should have got to that one, but it was a blistering drive. Sunderland suddenly back in it.
Well, Darren, well done. A tremendous performance by Norwich tonight, and a tremendous goal from you early on.
That's right, I was a bit surprised, you know. I don't score many on my right foot, but I've actually got more on my right this season than I have my left. So yeah, it's you know, the keeper's made a bad kick, and I didn't really have time to think about it. I thought, you know, just get my head down and try and hit the target, and thankfully it went in.
You were a long way out then. Were you aware how far out you were?
I was a fair way. I think I sort of realised, but as I said, you don't have time to think about it really. You just hit it. Normally I'd probably end up on the corner flag, but fortunately tonight it went in.
Do you ever practice those in training?
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not. I can't even do it with my left foot, let alone my right in training. So just one of those times where, you know, where it went right for me.
So having beaten 2 of the promotion favourites, a trip to Crewe's Gresty Road surely should have been a chance to maintain the run. Well, as happened too often during the season, it didn't go to plan. Eric Fugelstad unlucky as he touched the ball past Brian Gunn for the only goal. So next up were Manchester City at home.
Such got the foot in for Norwich. Whitley's touch let him down. It's a race now for the Manchester City defence. It's with Roberts. And Grant is arriving. Peter Grant fists the ground in disbelief and frustration. Jim Whitley had been dispossessed. Ewan Roberts was away for Norwich City. Roberts with the experience to look up and see what was on. Grant was arriving quickly and he shot over the top. Clearance by Mills. Another chase for Coote. And Adrian Coote has got there. Norwich get the free kick. It was a back pass. Barry Knight, the referee, saw that as a clear back pass by Kit Simons. Mills' long and hopeful clearance. Norwich have the free kick. Manchester City now with everybody back. We're in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Grant is over the free kick. Roberts there too, as is Segura. Kenton also lining up. Barry Knight, the referee, wants the Manchester City wall pushed further back. Norwich will get no better opportunity. Mills shaping to take the kick. Coote also ready and waiting. It's Mills, and it's off the line by Edgehill.
On to Port Vale then, and a 2-2 draw. Lee Mills gave Vale the lead in the first half as he was left unmarked to head home from a corner. Brave celebration too. But Norwich equalised midway through the second half, and it was all down to the persistence of Peter Grant, refusing to give up on what looked like a lost cause and finishing in style. Norwich took the lead 4 minutes later, Matt Jackson with a towering header from Fugelstad's free kick. It was clearly a day for silly celebrations. Just watch Robert Fleck here. Norwich weren't able to hang on to the lead, but the equalising goal from Lee Mills was well worth seeing. A blistering free kick to make the final score 2-2. So it was back to Carrow Road then, City hoping for a win against Tranmere to give them a lift before the next match against Ipswich at Portman Road. Sadly, it didn't work out that way.
Mellon had to check and come back inside. Here's Thompson. Mellon again. Now Kelly. And it's in by O'Brien. Liam O'Brien has put Tranmere Rovers in front after 22 minutes of the second half. It's O'Brien's first goal since November the 22nd when Tranmere beat Stoke 3-1. But it proved to be far more crucial to them this season. O'Brien ready to make his run. Header across the face of goal. And a second goal for Tranmere Rovers. It's David Kelly. Norwich was sidetracked then. Defenders anxiously looking over their shoulders as O'Brien shaped to make the run. And in the confusion, the ball came loose to David Kelly, who made the most of the opportunity from close in. Bellamy didn't quite connect with the clearance. And David Kelly has punished Norwich City.
So the next match, one of the biggest of the season, the East Anglian Derby. With both sides looking to the playoffs, it became especially vital. The match ball was certainly delivered in style, brought in by helicopter. But it was one of those days where Norwich didn't get off the ground at all.
Darryl Such unable to keep the ball in play. Darryl Such, who is Suffolk-born, playing at Portman Road for only the second time. Clapham trying to search out Matthew. Mike Walker there in the middle. He said this week that he wanted his players to learn from the 2-0 home defeat by Tranmere Rovers. Wonderful goal by Alex Mathy! An astonishing start at Portman Road. 69 seconds on the clock, and Alex Mathy has fired Ipswich Town in front. Wonderful, wonderful goal by Mathy. No apparent danger here, but Mathy got clear of Jackson and unleashed an unstoppable shot past Andy Marshall. Norwich caught cold. Here's Such. Coote trying to get in behind Mowbray. Here's Stockwell, and Mathy is onside. Mathy clean through on Marshall, and that's 2-0. Alex Mathy. Now Uhlenbeek. Here's Stockwell, who's got in between Segura and Jackson. And Mathy, it's number 3. A wonderful first half hat-trick by Alex Mathy. Ten minutes of the second half gone. The pace has dropped considerably, but that too is understandable. It was fast and it was frenetic and it was end-to-end in the first half. But Ipswich are trying to inject some pace here with Bobby Petter. Wonderful run from Petter. Oh, and a wonderful goal by Bobby Petter. Holland, who'd broken from midfield, still with Holland. Now Petter. And straight through Marshall's hands. The ultimate indignity for Norwich City and Andy Marshall. 10 minutes remaining. Bobby Petter gets his second, and it's Ipswich Town's 5th.
You said after the midweek defeat that a 4 or 5-0 was a possibility. It's a terrible prediction to come true.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about being right about that, but I mean, you know, if they're on form, they're doing well, they've got their full team to pick from. No, we haven't, as simple as that. Some of the lads did well, some of the kids did really well today, but you know, there's not a lot you can say. I mean, we weren't very good at times, we defended badly.
To Stockport then, and hopefully a chance to restore some lost pride, but again, it didn't start well. Norwich, for all their determined defending, could do nothing about a wonderful strike from Tony Dinning. Brilliantly controlled volley from Dinning, leaving Andy Marshall no chance. Stockport went 2 up early in the second half, caught out by a quality through ball and a clever run from Tony Grant. And a decisive finish from Grant. But City were determined to make something of this one and fought back, first of all through Peter Grant. But they had to wait until the last minute for the equaliser. Darren Eadie's shot deflected into the path of substitute Adrian Coote, who won the Canaries a point. The home match with Queen's Park Rangers didn't provide much in the way of thrilling action and was a disaster for Darren Eadie. Another injury. A painful one that for Eadie, and incredibly frustrating. It seemed as if he could do little this season without avoiding injury. This time, a characteristic run and shot led to a pulled hamstring. The match also brought Norwich fans and players face to face with former Canaries striker Mike Sheeran, and on one of the few occasions he threatened, Andy Marshall was there. So next at home were Birmingham. It was watched by the lowest home crowd for a league game for 27 years. Just 9,819 fans turned up. And in the first half they weren't given much to cheer, as Peter Undlov and Dele Adebola gave Birmingham a 2-0 lead. But that set the stage for an incredible second half. Just 2 minutes in, and Craig Bellamy scored a super goal to make it 2-1. Then it was made a night to remember for Chris Llewellyn. He scored his first senior goal to equalise. And the amazing comeback was complete when Bellamy added his second to make it 3-2. But Norwich were denied the 3 points by a brilliant piece of skill from Peter Undlov. A deft touch from the Zimbabwe international, just out of Marshall's reach. Bellamy came close to scoring a glorious hat-trick in injury time, but his free kick was well saved by Ian Bennett.
People say there's no spirit at the club, you know. At the end of the day, we've come back and we're disappointed now that we haven't won. Having said that, if somebody said to me, you'll get a draw out of it at half-time, 2-0 down, obviously I'd have accepted that. All our young lads are good players. I've said to you that what the problem is, they shouldn't be playing week in and week out. It's too much for them, but they're digging in and they're coping, and it just shows you, that some of the sweeping moves that they can do, they can play, was excellent. But we've obviously got to try and not give away silly goals, and also have the confidence to go and play, because once we went and played the second half, we gave them all sorts of problems. And in fact, nearly nicked it at the end there with a quickly worked free kick that the keeper just stopped at the more or less second attempt.
A dreadful surface at Gig Lane for the match against Bury, and it turned into another bad away day for Norwich. One of the few chances Norwich created, Craig Bellamy sliced into the stand. And inevitably Bury scored, and it was enough to win the match. The chance came from a penalty given against Robert Fleck for handball. It appeared a harsh decision, and despite the vociferous protests from his Norwich teammates, the referee not about to change his mind. The second look nearly confirms that the ball made contact with Fleck's hand, but surely it was impossible for him to get out of the way. Well, anyway, Bury took advantage of the chance, Nigel Jemson with a well-struck penalty. The final score was 1-0. So West Brom at home then, and Norwich were beginning to look over their shoulder as they slipped down the table. And a match which would see Robert Fleck's last start in Norwich colours. There were plenty of fans there to see it. 19,000 people packed into Carrow Road, and the commentary is from Tony Jones.
Here's Grant. Now Bellamy. It's Craig Bellamy, clean through on goal. And Bellamy has put Norwich City ahead. 6 minutes gone, and Craig Bellamy claims his 9th goal of the season. Such an exciting find, Craig Bellamy, and so confident and assured under pressure. Long ball out of defence, only Bellamy forward for Norwich City, but he had the acceleration to get beyond Holmes and to angle his shot beyond Miller. It was a good finish, and it's put Norwich City 1-0 ahead. Hughes putting Andy Marshall, the goalkeeper, under pressure. Came off Fuglestad. And bundled in, and given. It's Hughes. Paul Danson, the referee, had a long look then. And Lee Hughes, who's not the biggest player on the pitch by any means, has equalised for West Bromwich Albion. The corner screwed off Fuglestad. It was a missed kick by Jackson, and as it hovered under the crossbar, Marshall didn't claim it, Hughes did. Such up with Burgess. Forward by Nicol. Hughes with a wonderful header down to set up Quinn. And what a marvellous stop by Andy Marshall. Marshall, who might feel he was at fault for the Albion equaliser, excelling there.
Craig scored a magnificent goal, you know, great through ball. He's had a lot to do because he's still got a long way to run, think about it, but he's tucked it away, and I thought, well, for once we're in front, you know, and we've got something to defend. Half time, basically, we said, well, if we can keep playing and get passing and then compete, then we'll be all right. But unfortunately, I don't know whether it's nerves or what, but it got a bit edgy, and then, of course, the goal wasn't the best goal to give away.
The Riverside Stadium next, and a match against Middlesbrough, a side desperate for points as they look towards a place in the Premiership. A capacity crowd were treated to a superb performance from the home side, who took the lead after 22 minutes. A terrific goal from Neil Maddison. It stayed that way until 20 minutes from time, when Alan Armstrong was left all the space he needed to finish and made it 2-0. The third goal came in the last minute and was another example of indecisive defending. Time after time, Norwich had chances to get the ball clear. Time after time, they failed. And eventually, it was knocked in by Mikael Beck. And that made the final score 3-0. Oxford were the next opponents at the Manor Ground, and Andy Marshall had to be on his game as Oxford poured forward, saving well here from Kevin Francis. But as Oxford made more and more use of Francis' height up front, City seemed to make harder work of dealing with it, and eventually they were caught out as Francis scored after 64 minutes. Oxford scored again with 10 minutes left, and it came from a penalty, given away by Adrian Forbes for a trip on Joey Beecham. Beecham himself got up to score. So Norwich went into the next match with Bradford without a win in 12 matches. First Division safety was becoming an issue. Neil Fenn, the striker on loan from Spurs, made his full debut.
Curled in and all in. It's gone straight in. Edino is claiming a touch, but that goal will go down to Wayne Jacobs. Running already by Bradford. Lawrence has released Ramage, and he's there for the return. Tremendous goal from Jamie Lawrence. After just 20 seconds of the second half, Bradford City are 2-up. Lawrence got Ramage away, and he was in on the end of the cross to direct a perfect header beyond Marshall. Bradford have changed their approach slightly in this second half. They've pushed Ramage further forward. Here's Blake, and now Ramage, who's brought down, and that's a penalty. Such is furious. He felt that it was a fair challenge. Ramage was running across the Norwich defender then. There didn't appear to be too much contact, but Ramage went down, and Bradford have an opportunity to extend their lead. It's Robbie Blake versus Andy Marshall, and Blake has made it 3-0. Header on by Roberts, and here's Llewellyn. Great chance for Llewellyn, and he's pulled a goal back. 18-year-old Chris Llewellyn, with his second senior goal for Norwich City, has now given them some hope. Fuglestad's free kick, the header on by Roberts. McInnesby was under it, but Llewellyn was in the right place at the right time. That's 3-1 Bradford. Here's Ramage. Blake was dispossessed by Jackson. Pushing by Sinnott. Llewellyn with a quick free kick. Here's Bellamy. Second chance for Bellamy. And Norwich have their second goal. Craig Bellamy with his 10th goal of the season, but has it come too late for Norwich City?
Well, yes, it did come too late, but good news was the return from injury of Darren Eadie, a very welcome addition for the run-in, considering City's position, just 5 places off the bottom of the league, fighting for their first division lives with a difficult match against Sheffield United coming up. And in that match, Sheffield United took the lead, Graham Stewart following up Andy Marshall's save. United went further ahead through Vas Borboka's brilliant free kick. But perhaps this sparked the sense of urgency Norwich needed. Route 1 this time, as Ewan Roberts' flick was finished in style by Craig Bellamy. So much pressure, but Bellamy kept a cool head to tuck the ball away. And again, a flick from Roberts set Llewellyn away. This time, a stunning finish. The youngsters can be proud of the part they played in keeping Norwich in the First Division. This draw possibly one of the most important results of the season. But on to Huddersfield at home, the match where Norwich gave an indication of what they might be capable of. Ewan Roberts was hoping to make an impression against one of his former clubs.
Here's Fenn. Good run by Fenn. And a terrific drive which was turned aside by Harper. Neil Fenn is still waiting for his first league goal. But surely that won't be long coming, because it was a very confident run by Neil Fenn. Fleming in there, as is Jackson. It's Fleming, and it's in! It's Craig Fleming, and it's his first goal for Norwich City. Craig Fleming has put Norwich City ahead after 13 minutes. Corner was whipped in, and although Allison was in there to try and cover, he couldn't stop Fleming. Just the start which Norwich City wanted. Soothe the nerves a little bit. Now can they take it on? Llewellyn caught from behind. Foul by Kevin Gray. Norwich eager to get on with the game. Never much doubt about that. Eadie now on the ball. It's a good run by Darren Eadie. Tumbles to the ground, and he's won the penalty. Pushing by Steve Jenkins. Darren Eadie's so difficult to shake off the ball once he's got possession. He pulled away from Phillips first of all, and Jenkins with a shove in the back has conceded the penalty. Up steps Neil Adams, who's never missed from the penalty spot. 9 out of 9 last season. He's only taken 1 this season, and he was successful against Portsmouth. Bit of gamesmanship going on here as the Huddersfield players suggest to the referee, Steve Bennick, that the ball isn't on the penalty spot. There's nobody cooler than Neil Adams in this situation. It's Adams. Neil Adams maintains his magnificent record of never having missed a penalty. Now Horn. Richardson with a pass into no man's man, which has been picked out by Chris Llewellyn. Bellamy to keep the momentum of the attack going. Llewellyn again. It's a terrific run again by Chris Llewellyn, and that's a wonderful cross, and that's a wonderful goal by Ewan Roberts. Ewan Roberts with his first goal for Norwich since January the 17th. And it's a goal which will give him an enormous amount of pleasure. Roberts, who once upon a time was with Huddersfield Town, but it was a goal created for him by Chris Llewellyn, who showed great persistence. And from that range, your money had to be on Ewan Roberts. Llewellyn, who's only 18 but who's maturing all the time as a player, with a fine run to the byline, just wouldn't be shaken off the ball. And it was easy for Ewan Roberts from then on in. Here's Bellamy. Now Fuglestad. Eadie has made the run for him. Here's Darren Eadie. He's past one. And he's set up Roberts for yet another goal. Midway through the second half, Ewan Roberts claims his second and Norwich City's fourth. Terrific run by Darren Eadie. Had the pace to get beyond Collins, and he sensibly side-footed the ball in for Ewan Roberts to do the rest. Eadie got a whack in the side of the face then from Kevin Gray. Players continued. Llewellyn with the ball. And now Steve Bennett is coming across to have a look at Darren Eadie, and we're close on this now. Eadie going up there with Kevin Gray, and it was an elbow across the side of the face. Generous applause for Darren Eadie. Norwich determined not to take any chances with him. Club doctor down there to check on his condition. Norwich have brought on Victor Segura. Now Roberts, who finds himself in rather unfamiliar territory. Here's Adams. Very steady in the centre of midfield for Norwich this afternoon, Neil Adams. Roberts to find Fuglestad. Here's Roberts again. Now Fuglestad! Wonderful finish! Eric Fuglestad. And the high-five start. A hug for Ewan Roberts, who played his part in that goal. It was Roberts who found Fuglestad and then played the return pass in, which Fuglestad finished with some style.
The lads, as I've consistently said, have stuck with it in training, and they deserve. That's why I'm delighted for them. You know, Ewan Roberts, another one, taking plenty of stick. Delighted for him. He's playing the last 3 games has been exemplary, setting up play. He hasn't scored, and he's a striker. Today he's got in there. We've given him the supply in around the box, and he'll score goals, and he's done it.
It's been quite difficult for myself with the things that have been said, and it's been a hard season. It's just a pity that these 2 goals, they've come a little bit too late, really. But you know, there's still a lot to play for, and we'll keep going now and try and win every game.
The injury to Darren Eadie ended his season, one he won't be sorry to see the back of. Another win was still required though for absolute safety, and expectation was high for the trip to Stoke, themselves in desperate need of points in the fight against relegation. On the day it was Stoke who showed the greater urgency and took the lead through Laris Sigurd. Lightbourne, 5 minutes into the second half, sealed a welcome victory for Stoke. Celebrations then for the home support, and Norwich still worrying about the points needed to survive. But all those worries were cast aside as the Canaries crushed Swindon at Carrow Road. Commentary from Malcolm Robertson.
Such with the cross to Bellamy, and that's a goal for Norwich. Lovely goal from Chris Llewellyn. Such. Up goes Jackson, and that's a goal! Matt Jackson for Norwich City, and that surely must be the goal that keeps Norwich City in Division 1. Norwich take the free kick, and it's a goal from Ewan Roberts. My goodness, he's happy with that, isn't he? Well, Swindon have got nothing to lose now as Waters pours forward. Good run by Walters, gets in a very good cross. Here's a chance. Oh, what a great save from Marshall. Fantastic save. Well, he's had his critics this season, but how well he's responded. It was a super cross from Walters. Good header from Cow, and that's a great save. Referee says play on as Bellamy wins it from Bullock. Here's a chance for Roberts to Bellamy, and that's a super goal. The two Welshmen combining beautifully, and that's a fourth for Norwich. Cut out by Such, who has Adams outside and finds him. Norwich have plenty men in the box. Adams crosses to the far post. Roberts again falls Llewellyn to Fenn, and that's a goal for Neil Fenn. My goodness, he's wanted that one.
The one silver lining, if you like, on the dark cloud that's been engulfed us most of the season has been the fact that, you know, these young lads have gone in, and fair dues, they've had times when they've actually not been strong enough to actually win us games we should have won. But overall, they've got great experience. You know, they've played well generally, and certainly, as I've said, this club's in good nick. You know, we can't legislate for some of the injuries we've had, but at the end of the day, you've got to stay in the league, and we've done that. That's the most important thing.
And that was to be Mark Walker's last match as manager, as he and the club parted company, leaving assistant John Faulkner in charge for the final match at Reading, where it was fitting that the final goal of the season was scored by one of the stars of the campaign, Craig Bellamy. It also gave the 3,000 travelling fans a chance to say farewell to Robert Fleck. He'd moved to Reading on transfer deadline day and nearly put one over on his old teammates. So the First Division table looked like this. Nottingham Forest and Middlesbrough went up automatically, and Charlton a surprise addition to the Premiership next season. The younger players. But enough of the old, what about the new? As promised, the thoughts of the new management team, Bruce Rioch and Brian Hamilton.
When the opportunity came along to join Norwich City, I was delighted. I mean, they have a good reputation. It's a football club traditionally has played some outstanding football. In recent times, obviously, they've the Premiership, but not so long ago they were playing high calibre games in Europe. The organisation structure that's been put in place at the club is a foundation future, and my job after being invited is to come along and look after the first team at senior level and try and get some results for Norwich City, and really one of real delight.
When I was asked to come along, it was a terrific invitation to miss. I was going to work along with Bruce. And help him as much as I could with the first team, which was very important to me. I like working with senior players, but I also like working with junior players and watching the development of the game. So the challenge of director of football for me was something very interesting. And I'm a tracksuit man. I'm not one who stands back from it all. And I enjoy working across the board. And the work with Bruce was terrific. We've talked about it for a long time. And there's people in the game who you've great respect for. I have great respect for Bruce. And I do believe that as a team we can do very, very well. And I've said it in the past, I said again, that we're only a moment in time. And our moment in time is with Norwich now. We want to do the very best we can for today with the first team players, and for tomorrow with the younger players. And we hope, after our spell together here, that Norwich will be well equipped to go forward.
It's not so long ago, I'm sure everybody knows in Norwich, that Norwich were playing in the Premiership and playing in Europe and playing some of the top teams in Europe. And the aim, obviously, is single-minded from my point of view, is to develop players, find players who want to play for Norwich, develop them, bring them together as a unit, put them into a team, and get us out of the First Division as soon as we can. It may be soon, it may be later, but the object straight away is to try and be successful.
Well, I think from my own point, I have enjoyed a career working in the Premiership down to as it was in the 4th Division, and also on the international scene. I'm a real student of the game. I love the game. I love the coaching aspect of it, and I think the role of supporting Bruce with the first team and helping him. I did it last year with George at Ipswich, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I felt it gave me time to work with the players and be more supportive of what was going on from the manager's point of view. I have been a manager and I understand his problems, so I can be I hope a good support for Bruce and someone who can really help him achieve what he wants. So from that part, I'm looking forward to the challenge, and I must admit, it excites me a lot.
It's really getting the balance between the two age groups. Sometimes young players, too many young players, can find it difficult to win championships, but it depends on their ability. You know, it's been said many times that you don't win anything with a youth team, but I think Manchester United have proved that if the players have talent and they're brought up well and they come through together, and you can put them in alongside some senior players with good talent, then you can achieve good results. So I have every confidence that the youngsters here at this football club, if they have the mentality and the capability and the right attitude to be successful, can go a long way.
What we try to do, or what we're going to try and do, is make Norwich a very complete club. I certainly experienced, and I know Bruce has experienced, going up to Scandinavia, looking to see how these small clubs are developed, how they bring their players through. We've both been the Ajax, XR. We've seen these clubs, how they work. And football's gone through a period of change. I think it's with Bosman coming in, with the limitations on finance. And I think people have got to look very long and hard at the way they're going to develop their club. And the way it has been explained to me, and I agree with it totally, is that over the years, a period of time, the academy is very important in the development of young players to make them want to be part of a very good setup, which will enable them to come through and filter through the more elite players coming through quicker, but a steady flow of players coming into the first team who want to be part of the Norwich City setup, who want to play for Norwich City and make Norwich City successful.
Football's a great occupation, it's a great lifestyle, it's a great living. Management's about the nearest thing to playing. It's not as good as playing, but it's the nearest thing to it, and we've been doing it a long time now, and we love it. And we wouldn't stay in it if we didn't relish the challenge, deal with the problems that occur, relish working with the players, getting results, having the rapport. It's a great thrill to be involved in football, and with the new season, 5 weeks, 6, 7 weeks away, we'll start focusing in now and preparing for the first game against Crewe Alexandra. Looking forward to it.